Yo, what's up, movie people? I hope you're doing well. We're gonna rank every movie that I saw in July. I saw about 10 movies, so we're gonna put them all on a tier list. So let's get it started. All right, I'm gonna try to go from release order, oldest to newest. So first is gonna be Joyride. I saw this at an early screening, and this one was actually a really delightful surprise to me. It was really funny, probably the funniest of the year up until when I saw Barbie. And I think the whole entire cast in this movie had amazing chemistry. I thought that the editing of this movie was really fast, but it really worked for the kind of comedic film that it was. It's like a really hard R comedy film, so make sure to know that when you're going into watching it, if you're going to watch it when it comes out in digital, probably soon because it's been in theaters for like a month. So just know that, but things do get hard R in this movie, and I kind of like when they go for that hard R rating, because if you're going to make a comedy, go for it. And I think there's a lot of scenes in here where they really did go for it. I think there's some pacing issues, some generic story issues in here, but I still find the overall friendship story really great, and I still find all the comedy aspects by every single actress in this movie. They all did so well with what the script had them do, and as I said, there's some very funny moments in here. I'm not going to get into them, but I'm going to put Joyride in the good tier. Next up is The Outlaws, another Netflix original film. Netflix did pretty well in June. They had Extraction 2 and Nimona, but now in July they have The Outlaws and Bird Box Barcelona, and The Outlaws just was not a good film at all. I do like the two main stars a decent bit. Overall, this film just felt like such a boring mess of a film. It has a lot of generic qualities to it, kind of like Joyride, but I think this one is so much more generic because it doesn't really make anything new for itself. It feels like a movie I've seen on Netflix like 20 times in the past 2 or 3 years. I feel like Netflix is just stuck making the same movie for people that just don't go to the theaters, and just people that don't want a movie that you really want to think about hard. And that kind of isn't for me, but I still watch all the movies I can, the new movies, and I just don't like it because it's just a movie that doesn't get me hyped up, movie that doesn't make me think, a movie that's just so stupid and dumbed down that it just makes me want to just cancel my Netflix subscription, throw my TV in the trash. So The Outlaws, it's just not a good movie for me. Maybe some will like it, but for me, it's a terrible movie. Next up, we're going to go Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. This movie is like the opposite of The Outlaws. Such a fantastic film. I've seen this movie like 5 times in the theater so far. I might go a couple more times. It's just such a crowd pleasing movie. It's such an event of a movie to go see in the theaters, the biggest screen possible. Kind of sucks that Oppenheimer and Barbie took the big screens away from this movie, and it only has small screens now. But I think Tom Cruise defies everything in this movie. Jumps off a cliff, jumps on a train. He's hanging off of a train in this one. The stunts were amazing. The third act is probably one of the best third acts in an action movie that you'll ever see. It's kind of terrific what they're able to do here, what Christopher McQuarrie is able to do. Pom Klementieff is an amazing villain. I think the AI in this movie is kind of timely for where we're at right now. And Chris McQuarrie wrote this movie in 2019, so we definitely knew something was going to happen in the next 4 years. But this is a part 1, but I think the part 1 version is done pretty well. It ends pretty satisfyingly, but we're going to have to wait like a year or 2 years for part 2, which really sucks. But they're setting up part 2 to be probably the best action movie of all time, and I cannot wait. I love this cast, this group of people. I love each action sequence, and I cannot wait to own this on home video. It's going to be a fantastic watch every single time. So this is going to go in the amazing tier. Next up is Bird Box Barcelona. I was not a fan of the first Bird Box, just letting you guys know. And this one was really no different for me. I think, though, it is just maybe... no, I think it's a step down from the first one just by a little bit. But, Diego Calva was in this one from Babylon, and I don't think he was given anything to do. He should have been the main star of this movie. The main stars I didn't really care for this movie. Everything that was going on I thought was just really dumb. This Bird Box idea that Netflix came up with, I thought it really only worked with one movie, and now they're trying to really separate it, make a different storyline. If you were going to make a Bird Box 2, you should have really made a hardcore sequel and not a different storyline, a different spin-off than the first one, because I thought the first one worked a lot. It became popular because the cast that was surrounded by it and how unique it was. I don't think this one is as unique as the first one. I think this one's actually pretty boring in a ton of parts. So that's my main issue with the film. My next issue is the pacing is really slow. I think it's about 2 hours. It's been 2 weeks since I've seen it. And I thought the pacing just dragged on for so long. It was such a slog fest through a lot of parts of it. But I think that the VFX, the effects of the kind of monsters in the Bird Box movie, I thought those were like well established. I like that a lot. And I did like the last 15-20 minutes a decent bit. But overall, this is just, it's not a great film to me. So I'm putting Bird Box Barcelona in the bad tier. Next up is Insidious, the Red Door. You know, I was going into this one kind of excited for it because I do like the Insidious 1 and 2 kind of a decent bit. But Insidious the Red Door really let me down. It just was not, it wasn't up to the standards I thought it would be. You know, I really wanted a lot of deep scares from this movie because Insidious 1 and 2 did deliver on those scares. I think Insidious the Red Door only really delivered on one scare, which is when he's in the hospital, when Josh was in the hospital getting an MRI done on his brain. I thought that scare was simply brilliant. I really did enjoy that. But other than that, this movie just didn't really have a lot going for it. I thought this one was really boring too during a lot of parts. The pacing was really off. Overall, for this being really the ending of the Insidious story, I thought it was a big letdown. You know, there was just not a lot going on here, especially because, you know, in the first Insidious, you have the red-faced guy. I forgot what he was called, but he's like a red-faced guy, and he lives in that the further place, and he's supposed to be the main villain of this movie. You hardly see him until the end of the movie, so it's really disappointing that they weren't able to make a story that really was very exciting, was supposed to be the end of the story. But, you know, I thought everyone in the movie did a great job acting-wise. I just think that the movie really let me down with what it was supposed to be. So Insidious the Red Door is also going in the bad tier. Next up is They Clone Tyrone. They Clone Tyrone is actually a very good surprise by Netflix. They do have one good July movie, and I'll give it to them. That's They Clone Tyrone. I think John Boyega, he's so good in this movie. I think John Boyega is one of the most underrated actors right now. He was so great in The Woman King last year. If you haven't seen Breaking, oh my gosh, he's great in Breaking. Breaking is a very good film. He's great in that. And I loved him in the Star Wars movie. I wish he was a Jedi in those movies. I wish he had more to do. He was amazing in that. But this movie, They Clone Tyrone, such an interesting sci-fi concept. I think everyone should go watch this movie without knowing much of what it's about, because I love how everything was done in it. And I think John Boyega, I think he did amazing in this. Jamie Foxx, Tyrone Paris is on this. Them as a trio, fantastic. The overall villain of this movie, I didn't really care for the overall villain of it, but I did love the whole anticipation, the whole story of what's happening up until the third act. I think the third act kind of let me down a little bit, but the first two acts are just really strong, so it didn't really affect my viewing that much. So overall, I think They Clone Tyrone was a really good movie, so I'm going to put it in the, oh, my bad, put it in the good tier. That's where it's supposed to go. Next up is Barbie. You guys have seen my reviews. Barbie and Oppenheimer are up on the channel, but Barbie, I think, is an awesome movie. Greta Gerwig is back again. She hasn't missed yet. And Ryan Gosling in this movie is the MVP, but let's not sugarcoat Margot Robbie is also perfect as Barbie in this movie. But I think everyone had a fantastic performance in this movie just for the little amount of screen time that everyone has. Michael Cera, America Ferrera, I think they're all perfect, but I think Ryan Gosling really is the MVP of this movie. He steals every scene that he's in. I know a lot of people are praising America Ferrera, Margot Robbie. Yes, I think they're great, but Ryan Gosling is on a different level because he stole every single scene that he's in. No other actor stole every single scene except Ryan Gosling. I think the set design of this movie is perfect. Costume design, perfect. The story does have a couple missteps in there. That's why it's not a perfect film for me, but I think the story has a lot of interesting themes that I think a lot of people like. I love how they address the stereotypes in the movie, and I'm Just Ken still lives rent-free in my head. I'm listening to it every day. So Barbie's going in the amazing tier. Next up is Oppenheimer. You guys have heard my praise on Oppenheimer. I've talked about it in many videos. Oppenheimer is just an immense film. It's a film that teaches you more than you've been taught in school, I think. I never learned about Oppenheimer in school until this film. And Christopher Nolan is really digging into the biopics. I really love to see it. And I think this might be the best biopic of all time. It reminds me of Social Network, so much dialogue. I think it's Christopher Nolan's best script. Every single supporting actor brings so much passion to the movie. They bring it all out. Robert Downey Jr. is amazing. Jason Clarke, Rami Malek for his just like 5 minutes of screen time. But Cillian Murphy, he was born to play Oppenheimer. He was terrific in this film. I've seen it 3 times so far in IMAX, and it's just an immense experience. Every time I've seen it in IMAX, it leaps off the screen. It's such a big picture because it was shot in IMAX. And the detonation scene of Trinity was one of the best directed scenes of the year. I think Christopher Nolan really dug into his bag with this movie, and the pacing is excellent for a 3-hour movie. You don't even feel the pacing. The third hour just keeps you on the edge of your seat during those courtroom scenes and hearings of his security hearing. And I just really enjoyed this movie a lot. I think this might be one of the best of the decade up there. Spider-Verse. It might take Spider-Verse's spot for the best of the year. But, you know, I think this film is just amazing. And it's hard to talk about if you haven't witnessed it. Like, it's hard to talk about this to people if they haven't witnessed it. So I think this is a film that everyone needs to witness in IMAX before it leaves the theater. But Oppenheimer is an amazing film. It's a new day, which means it's time to rank our last 2 July movies that I saw. Let's go Haunted Mansion, second to last. Haunted Mansion left me really disappointed. If you've seen my review on YouTube, I posted a short review. Lakeith Stanfield really hold this movie together. Tiffany Haddish, Jamie Lee Curtis were not needed in this movie, and I felt that this movie was just way too long. It's over 2 hours. Why does a Haunted Mansion movie need to be over 2 hours long? Can we please explain that? And I thought the last 30 minutes just went on for way too long, and I thought the movie actually looked kind of ugly in my opinion. It looked really bland. Disney movies are supposed to be about magic, and like this is supposed to be like a movie about the ride. It should be more magical, it should be more colorful. It's just very toned out. The colors are all grayed out. Keith Stanfield, though, I think he's awesome in this. Danny DeVito, Rosario Dawson, Owen Wilson, they're great supporting actors in here. There's some great scenes in here, but overall, I thought the movie was just a mess. I think a lot of families will like it, but overall, I just didn't really care for a lot of the scenes. So Haunted Mansion is going to go in the bad tier. I'm very disappointed to say that, but it's going to go in the bad tier. Next up is Talk to Me. Talk to Me is directed by the Raka Raka brothers on YouTube. They're very famous on YouTube. I watched them a little bit, and this is their first feature film, and it's the best horror film of the year. I praised it on my own review on this on my YouTube channel, and it's just kind of terrific at what they're able to do with this movie and what they're able to do with a story about a hand and spirits. I really enjoyed it, and every single actor and actress in this movie really did bring it all. It's a lot of their first time being in a movie, so I was surprised at all the great performances by them. And there's some very scary and graphic moments in this movie, very rated R, so don't take any of your kids to this one. If you do like horror movies, you're gonna really love this one, and I would go see it with some friends because there's a lot of great reaction moments. Like, especially me and my friends, when we saw it, we just reacted to a lot of big scenes. The ending was terrific in my opinion. I feel like I would love a sequel for this movie. I think a sequel would just be awesome. So Talk to Me is gonna go in the amazing tier. I think it deserves to go there. Final ranking, Outlaws in the terrible tier. Bad tier, I'm gonna put Haunted Mansion at the top, Bird Box at the bottom. Good tier, I'm gonna put They Clone Tyrone at the top of the good tier, and nothing in the great tier because I found we had a lot of amazing movies this month. For the amazing tier, I'm gonna go Oppenheimer, then Mission Impossible, and then I'm probably gonna put Talk to Me above Barbie. Talk to Me was one of those special movies. If you guys have a chance to go check it out, I would. It's an amazing horror movie. It's an amazing film overall. It's terrific. Overall, that's my July ranked tier list. Let me know what all the movies you guys watched in July were, and let me know your favorites. I'm interested. But make sure you leave a like on this video. Helps out a lot. Subscribe to the channel. I post almost every day. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.